Hello everyone, today I would like to introduce to you my latest creation, an interesting little gadget I like to call the hot apple pie. What started off as a silly concept eventually grew into reality. Start with the box of an iPhone 5C, which unlike most cell phones, came in a nifty hard plastic case rather than cardboard. Toss out the innards and you're left with a neat plastic case with a wealth of possibilities. My end goal was to cram a Raspberry Pi, screen, batteries, and buttons into the box and make a Pi portable out of parts I had lying around. Ultimately, the final unit had no audio output due to the simple fact that I did not have a spare amplifier lying around. I had two main design goals. One, that the iPhone box receive as few modifications as possible, and two, that the innards of the portable could be assembled into a single unit and be removed as easily as possible in order to facilitate inevitable repairs. For goal number 2, I designed a 3D print into 3 parts using Fusion 360. The top part serves as the faceplate and holds the screen, power switch, and action buttons in place. The middle part holds all 3 halves together and anchors the 12 soft tack switches in place. The bottom layer holds the batteries, Raspberry Pi, and charging PCB, all of which slide into place and are held firmly either by friction or the inner walls of the iPhone box. Unlike the top layer, which is held onto the middle layer by 4 small screws, the bottom layer is gripped in place by 4 legs extending from the bottom of the middle layer. True to Apple design, the layout of the hot apple pie is simplistic and lacking in features. Power switch is in the top left. Trigger buttons have moved to the face of the unit in order to avoid additional cuts in the iPhone box, followed by Joy-Con style direction and action buttons, and lastly, select and start. The one modification to the original box was to cut out the letter C on one of the sides to facilitate room for the charging port. This allows easy charging via any 5-volt micro USB source. A flick of the power switch and the unit comes to life. Because the screen powers on much more quickly than the Pi boots up, this gives you time to reflect on many things, such as, am I sure I wired this up correctly? Or, I did lock the front door, didn't I? Ah, there we go. The Raspberry Pi is running Recalbox, a suite of emulators with a simple but user-friendly interface. I loaded the micro SD card with some of my favorite retro games, but as you can see, the low pixel density of the screen makes it very hard to tell what game you're selecting. What even are these? If you have any idea, leave it in the comments below. The 12 action buttons are all 3D printed. In order to test out their responsiveness, I put them through one of the most strenuous of controller tests. That's right, I played through the hardest level of Dr. Mario. My goodness, look at that resolution. And before you ask, yes, it can play Doom, although rather uncomfortably. As previously mentioned, the shoulder buttons were moved to the face of the unit in order to preserve the aesthetics of the iPhone box. Unfortunately, that means that the use of the trigger buttons is a bit of an unwieldy experience. Although this is a fun gadget to play around with, and to have a small library of games with physical controls small enough to carry around in my pocket, it's not without its flaws and terribly impractical. In hindsight, I should just get a PSP. Thanks for watching.